Welcome along to week 23 in MLS. Lightning put paid to Charlotte's clash with the Crew. But elsewhere the action was electrifying. We've got 12 sparky encounters to come. Starting in the West as the Supporters' Shield leaders welcome the Sounders.
Chicho Arango, 3-1. And that's Arango trying to get round Lovitz. He puts LAFC into the lead.
The black and gold were pulling clear in the West.
Here's Gareth Bale, and he sneaks it past and in.
While the Sounders had been stumbling.
It's Hani Mukhtar, Nashville lead. What a goal for the Chicago Fire.
But right off the rave green at your peril.
Down a man, but up a goal.
Commentary comes from Matt Jackson and Dan Roebuck.
This is Jordan Morris, and still going. Took the shot on, the block from Escobar. Blessing can't get to that. Roldan can. It's still Roldan, and still going. Decent looking ball, that's an own goal. Well, I think it would have come towards Ladero anyway, but as it is, it's been diverted in, and Seattle Sounders have the early advantage here.
Look at Chiellini there, isolated last, can't move his feet there to stop that cross, and because that ball's going into a dangerous area, that's what causes the chaos.
Murillo will have to claim the own goal, unfortunately. This is Cifuentes, who might go again here, and Cifuentes, really good save from Fry, because the chance looked like it got away from Cifuentes, and Fry got down very quickly.
This is a really good passage play, sharp play there. Good strike and a good save. Came quickly at the goalkeeper, Fry.
Plenty in rave green to A-Man here. Curled in. Oh, my word, how on earth did that one not go in? Boy, oh boy. Aliaga, from what, a couple of yards out, has somehow not hit the target.
Doesn't know it's coming, that's the problem. Thinks it's going to get headed at the front post. It's a massive moment in the game. You go 2-0 up, you really feel like you've got a chance.
Oh, what a hit that is! Opoku with something really special for LAFC. Terrific strike. Stephen Fry beaten, and it's one apiece at Bank of California Stadium.
It's a fine strike, the way that he gets the shot off so early as well. The ball curling inside that right-hand upright. That's a fine strike.
Back heel towards Opoku inside the box again. It's cleared away. Well read by Chiellini. He's done brilliantly and wants to go for goal himself. Oh! Well, it takes a deflection and skims behind for a corner. I think that was some strike.
It looks so close. He knows this has only just whistled past that right-hand upright.
Good running here from Blessing. Decants to Carlos Vela. And still going Vela here. Opoku again. First time. Oh! Arango denied. Blessing can't make it his. Likewise, Escobar, who was trying to follow up.
It's a great save. I mean, the goalkeeper, they do that so well. Train themselves just to make themselves big and stand up.
Cifuentes. Again, it's clipped in. Oh, and this time it squirms underneath Stephen Fry. And Carlos Vela has put LAFC in front.
Yeah, he should be offside, or he should be marked. It's fine to leave him, but you've got to have stepped as a group. Fine finish, good strike. Fry's a little bit unlucky, it goes through him.
Vela's flick, Ilyas Sanchez, Cifuentes, Palacios, Opoku, and Blessing! Stopped on the line by Fry.
Fry again. Might look a bit lucky there, but he's making his body big in case this first chance comes there. That's the one he's trying to block, with Roldan getting back to help him out.
Full time here, LAFC 2. The Seattle Sounders 1.
An exciting evening, full house. It's an amazing atmosphere, and I think it deserved a game like we saw. I was very pleased with the character of our team again. We win games when everybody contributes, and that was again the case tonight.
LAFC's closest challengers in the West were Austin FC, and they were a whopping 21 points ahead of bottom side Sporting Kansas City. Incredibly, Maxi Urruti's disallowed goal was one of 4 that were chalked off for the Verde and Black at Children's Mercy Park. SKC were beaten in gruelling circumstances in the week, losing on penalties in their US Open Cup semi-final. So for a team feeling the fatigue, as well as the pressure of poor form, Cam Duke's 2 yellow cards in 4 first-half minutes really wasn't helpful. And the donations to Austin's cause kept coming. Tough to know who wore the embarrassment better, goalscorer Alex Ring or goalkeeper John Paulskamp. If you don't laugh, you'll cry, was seemingly the stance taken by SKC supporters. But perhaps a lucky break was coming. Video review intervened to award Sporting Kansas City a penalty after Felipe's handball. And yet the usually reliable Daniel Shallowy was denied a much-needed goal by Brad Stuver. Austin are still on course for silverware in 2022, but even if they don't get it, Sebastian Driussi might get some of his own.
Driussi bolsters his case for MVP.
SKC seeing stars.
Third in the West, Minnesota United were trying to keep up with the pace set by the top 2. But a Portland Timbers side just below the playoff line raced off the blocks. The first 7 passes all they needed to set up Sebastian Blanco. At 13 seconds, it was the earliest goal in the Timbers' MLS history and the 4th fastest the league has ever seen. Once Minnesota could get a touch of the ball, things improved considerably. Franco Fragapane's header meant that 9 minutes in they could make a fresh start. The Loons rapidly gained momentum, with their goal scorer Fragapane producing a sumptuous flick that left Minnesota wide open.
The rebound fell beautifully for Bonga Kuthlik Longwane.
By half-time, Portland's perfect start felt like a distant memory. Luis Amarilla sent them back to the locker room 2 goals behind, putting the Timbers' 7-match unbeaten run in serious peril. Giovanni Savarese clearly found the right words to lift his players. They returned fired up for the fight.
And it's Blanco, and it is 3-2.
If the Argentinians' second of the match threw the outcome back into doubt, Claudio Bravo's free kick soon afterwards had Minnesota's head spinning. Met by Yaroslav Niskoda, whose 6th goal in 7 games left the scores all square again just 8 minutes into the second half. Disbelief was followed by outright despair when the Loons' inexplicably static defence paid the price for allowing Portland's danger man far too much room.
And Blanco's back for more. Oh! Goalkeeper embarrassed at the near post, and Blanco almost embarrassed to celebrate.
It was a touch off defender Kemar Lawrence that caught out Dane St Clair as the lead changed hands again. But the Timbers' astounding comeback ultimately earned them only a point from a gloriously gripping contest.
And the header by Amarilla. The latest twist, 4-4.
The San Jose Earthquakes were beaten at the Timbers last week, and this was an equally tough assignment against another team in the West top 7. Yet it didn't start the way that Real Salt Lake expected it to. Justin Glad was penalised for handball early on, and Christian Espinoza did the rest.
Goal! San Jose!
His last 3 goals have all been from the spot, but a goal's a goal, and that's a feeling RSL's Jasper Löffelsen had never experienced. Not that you'd have known it when the German calmly pulled his team level with what was his first ever goal in professional football. And perhaps his newfound assuredness was needed immediately after the break. Having split San Jose apart, Sergio Cordova scuffed his finish, Nathan stumbled, and somehow the Earthquakes survived, readjusted themselves, and then rode those waves of fortune to great effect.
Espinoza, Abobasi, left foot, goal! San Jose!
The host negotiated the final 28 minutes and then a further 4 minutes of stoppage time before Jefferson Savarino, who scored his first MLS goal since rejoining the club against San Jose last month, hurt them again. This his 5th in 9 games.
And RSL has pulled even.
Savarino's abilities once more fully exposed in MLS.
After beating RSL at Rio Tinto Stadium last week, FC Dallas returned home aiming to tighten their grip on a playoff position. Frank O'Hara soon had them heading in the right direction against the LA Galaxy, who'd arrived hoping to leapfrog their hosts in the Western standings. Instead, Jonathan Bond was the busier keeper, with the Californians on the back foot. A ferocious drive from Jesus Ferreira kept Bond on his toes shortly before the break. The pressure continued to mount, with 2 players attempting the spectacular in rapid succession. First Hara, then Jose Martinez, who was desperately unlucky not to succeed. Paxton Pomykal couldn't keep the follow-up down. Still hope then for the visitors, who in the second half were handed a huge opportunity to change the course of the match. When Chicharito flicked out a foot, Marco Farfan fell into the trap. The referee decided in the forwards' favour, and it was up to Dejan Joveljic to do the honours. Martin Paz protected the lead, helping the Texans land a first home win since early May that carried them 5 points clear of the Galaxy.
Wedged between Dallas and the LA Galaxy in the Western standings were Nashville, who have an experienced forward trying to reinvent himself in Tennessee. This was Teal Bunbury's 2nd goal in as many games to excite a raucous Geodis Park. Vancouver's retort was late, ungraceful, but effective. You had to have the sharpest sight to see that it was Javane Brown who got the crucial touch. That was his first ever goal in MLS, but the drama wasn't over. The Whitecaps nearly won it via Christian Dahome's swirling stoppage time shot. Joe Willis was needed for Nashville, as was Vancouver's goalkeeper Cody Cropper, who stayed alert amongst the chaos to repel Luke Hackinson with what was pretty much the last touch of the game. 1 win in 6 for Nashville, 1 in 7 for the Whitecaps. Fine margins might ultimately decide their playoff fate. After frustration against Philly,
Goal! Daniel Gazdan.
The shirt.
No penalty.
Orlando had a midweek boost.
That sends Orlando City to their first Open Cup final.
DC United needed inspiration.
A turnover, and DC United has to pay.
And they turned to a familiar source for that.
Rooney sees roll out. Oh, it's in the net. Can you believe it?
With Wayne Rooney finally taking his place in the DC United dugout for the first time, Orlando City were the visitors at Audi Field. The game was watched by David Connolly and Phil Blacker.
The early pressure is from the away side. This could be costly. It's a brilliant finish. A stunning strike for Orlando City, who take full advantage. Junior Urso with a brilliant goal.
Oh, it's absolutely outstanding, this is. Look at Urso with the vision and the ability to execute really difficult skill on the run. The first time, little dink over Romo into the far corner. Absolutely fabulous finish.
Taken by Pato. Plenty of height on it. Secundo Torres trying to return it. DC have got everyone back inside their own box here. It's Pereira returns it. Comes for Torres. Oh! And it stayed out somehow. It was a big chance for Benji Michel, and he's flashed at it.
Should have scored. He had all the time in the world. From 5 or 6 yards out, he's just got to sweep this home. Should have been 2-0.
Hopkins, Adoy Atcham. And again. And it comes for Chris Durkin. Whipped it in, Fantastic there, kept out by Galese on the line. And wide in the end from Hopkins. As menacing as the home team have looked at any stage of the game.
What a save this is from Galese. I don't think he knows too much about it. He's actually diving to his right, Galese. It looks like it comes off his thigh or just his trailing leg. Superb save in the end.
This is Ola Kamara for DC United, deep into added time now, fizzes it in, there's the chance! There's the equalising goal that they have been threatening. Chris Durkin scores it. The pressure pays off in added time. He's made a difference, Kamara off the bench.
Is he offside? It's close, certainly. He might have just got back onside, but in the end, he just flashes this across goal. And a superb effort this is. He just opens his right boot out, and this arrows into the top corner. There is not a lot Galassi can do about that. That is a superb strike.
They are playing on now at the referee's discretion. This isn't quite finished yet, in it goes again! Fontas! To complete a dramatic turnaround for DC! Astonishing stuff in stoppage time! Just the reaction Rooney wanted, but probably didn't dream of.
What a fabulous first-time cross this is. Bennett Fontas completely unmarked. He does what he couldn't do in the first half, and that is score.
Full time, DC United 2, Orlando City 1.
I think character is a big word I've used over the last couple of weeks with the team. It's a good result for us, certainly in the way it ended, the game ended, but we have to be ready to go again on Wednesday.
In the cross-conference clash at Subaru Park, the East leaders, the Philadelphia Union, were seeking their 5th successive win. The Houston Dynamo, the unfortunate side on the receiving end, with no answer to the home team's flowing attacks. Daniel Gazdag on the score sheet for the 4th match running. Houston keeper Steve Clark departed injured shortly afterwards, and at first his replacement Michael Nelson could afford to feel optimistic at the sight of Fafa Pico breaking free. The offside flag went up eventually, denying Pico an equaliser on his first return to one of his former clubs. So attention switched back to the other end, where Nelson was in store for a torrid time.
Goal! McGlynn! His first professional goal gives the Union a 2-0 lead.
A very special moment teenager Jack McGlynn would be able to savour at half-time, as by then the Union were in full command. Olivier Baizo provided the perfect pass for Mikael Uhre to put the home side 3 up. Ominous for Houston, who will have needed no reminding it was just a few weeks since Philadelphia had put 7 past DC United. 3 minutes after the break, a repeat began to look possible. Uhre celebrating again, taking his tally to 8 goals for the season. Now trailing the Dane on 7 for the year, Julian Carranza wasn't to be outdone.
Carranza goal! 5-0 Union!
Another one set up by Alejandro Bedoya, who registered 3 assists on a night when the Union were full of invention. 18-year-old substitute Quinn Sullivan took just 3 minutes to make his mark.
Sullivan fires goal! 6 for the Union.
They've netted 17 times in the last 4 home matches. Philly is a fun place to be.
Drive Pink Stadium next for the latest in MLS's back catalogue of belters.
It's Gonzalo Higuain, and it's buried in the top corner. He terrorizes Cincinnati again. It's Miami 1, Cincinnati 0.
Seriously, they must be sick of seeing Inter Miami's Gonzalo Higuain. That was his 5th goal against them in MLS. But the beauty of watching Cincinnati is that they always tend to score, and doubled up with the Herons' penchant for conceding, Brenner's equaliser before the half hour wasn't a shock. But then neither was what happened next. Higuain again, classy again, 2-1 Miami. What was developing in Florida, though, outside of an enthralling watch, was a personal duel taking place in opposite penalty areas. Brenner hauling Cincinnati level for a 2nd time. It all felt entirely formulaic. Just before half-time, Tyler Blackett went charging into the back of Jean Motta, and though the contact wasn't deemed worthy of a penalty at first, video review helped determine otherwise. So, cue the inevitable.
Gonzalo Higuain from the spot, and he's got his hat-trick in the opening half. Inter Miami 3, Cincinnati
To give some context to that earlier statistic, that was Higuain's 20th career goal in MLS, of which 7 had now come against Cincinnati. Had Alejandro Pozuelo's super finish straight after the break not been pulled back for offside, he'd have had his first for the club, and it might well have got Miami into a position of comfort. Instead, it purely galvanised their visitors from Ohio. 9 minutes remained when Brandon Vazquez extended his right leg at the perfect moment to make it 3-3. Cincinnati set for another point. They'd drawn 5 of their last 6. But this was a night for in-form forwards, and Vazquez struck again soon after to go joint second in the race for the Golden Boot and seemingly pinch Pat Noonan's team the win. But the last plot twist was the greatest of them all.
McVeigh. Nicely. Back was left. McVeigh! He's done it! They're back on level terms! Again at the death!
4-4, in case you'd lost count.
NYCFC's victory over Inter Miami last week was their 4th on the bounce, but they had a testing time in Montreal. Kamal Miller couldn't supply a finishing touch as the Canadians tried to narrow a 6-point gap at Stade Saputo. NYCFC's defence hadn't been breached in their last 3 outings. Goalkeeper Sean Johnson prevented Georgi Mihailovic from changing that. But the visitors' interim coach Nick Cushing didn't see his team manage a shot on target. To take anything back south of the border, they needed to rely on defensive resilience. Romel Kyoto had them stretched and glory beckoned for Mason Toye. No joy for Toye. Montreal rued a missed opportunity. NYCFC have now gone 373 minutes without conceding.
The Revs and Toronto FC were both outside the playoffs looking in, though New England are far closer to piercing that top 7. Matt Polster's endeavour to produce something quite glorious was the standout moment of the first half at Gillette Stadium. Clearly, there are plenty of eyes on TFC's progress after their Italian makeover. Federico Bernardeschi nearly had another MLS goal. They'd have been talking about that one in Turin as well as Toronto had it gone in. Lorenzo Insigne is yet to get off the mark though, but all the right noises are being made by Bob Bradley's team, and they've still got time to rectify their slow start out of the blocks. In truth, Toronto probably should have backed up their dominant win over Charlotte last week with another one here. The visitors were given a penalty inside the final quarter hour after Polster was, bizarrely, adjudged to have been the perpetrator rather than the victim. Video review didn't change the on-field decision, but Insigne didn't score.
Petrovic makes that big save! Have some of that! The ball does not lie!
The Serbian's had quite an impact himself since joining.
To our final game in Chicago, where Atlanta were determined not to be left behind by the Fire, who've been on the rise. Luis Araujo had Gaga Slonina at full stretch before the home side could settle into their quest for a 4th successive victory. When Jed and Shaqiri probed for an opening, his cross dropped to Jairo Torres. Caleb Wiley was alert to the danger. An excellent block to maintain the deadlock, but there'd be one last chance for an Atlanta breakthrough before half-time. With seconds to go, Thiago Almada had only one thing on his mind, setting off for a fine 1-2 with Ronaldo Cisneros. A run which went unrewarded. A big scare for the home fans, but they were on their feet after the break as Shaqiri crashed Miguel Navarro's cross past Rocco Rios Novo. At first look, it all seemed legitimate until the video review told a different story. Shaqiri offside when the ball was played. The clubs were destined to share the points, ending Ezra Hendrickson's sequence of successes.
So that moves Chicago up to 8th in the East, and a point was also enough to push Montreal into 3rd. The Philadelphia Union now extended their lead to 3 points.
In the West, FC Dallas moved up into 4th place after their win over the LA Galaxy, who were replaced in the playoff positions by Portland. A 9-point gap has now opened between 2nd and 3rd.
Not one, but 2 8-goal thrillers in MLS this week. There was a masterclass in Philadelphia.
6 for the Union.
And Rooney's adventure is underway via taxi.
It is in the net! It is in the net! Taxi cab! Wayne Rooney cab!
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.